You know things are bad when even your teammate says your next win would be the biggest of your whole career. And Kyle Busch has 63 wins and 2 championships. That's exactly what's happening right now, and it all started with one rough day at Talladega. Let's back up a little. The race at Talladega Superspeedway was the first time all year that Kyle Busch finished inside the top 10. He came home in 10th place. For most drivers, a top 10 finish is just an okay day. But for Kyle and his Richard Childress Racing team in 2026, it felt like a small win. They had been struggling so badly that even cracking the top 10 was a big deal. But then things got strange. Right after the race, NASCAR took Kyle's number 8 car and shipped it off to the R&D Center in Concord, North Carolina. That's the place where NASCAR pulls cars apart and looks at every little piece. When that happens, teams get nervous. Really nervous. Why? Because in the past, when NASCAR has taken cars to the R&D Center, teams have lost over 100 points for things they found wrong. That can wreck a whole season. Kyle's car wasn't the only one either. Zane Smith's number 38 also got taken in. So did some cars from the lower series. After a few days of waiting, the news finally came back. Kyle's car was clean. No problems found. It was the best result the team could have hoped for. They could breathe again. But that relief didn't last long, because the very next day, everything changed. Just hours after that top 10 finish at Talladega, Kyle's crew chief Jim Pohlman was let go. Pohlman had only been on the job for 10 races. 10. That's it. He was moved to a leadership job inside the team, and a guy named Andy Street took over the pit box, starting at Texas. Now, Andy Street isn't a stranger to Kyle. He was actually Kyle's crew chief at the end of the 2025 season. So, in some ways, this was bringing back an old friend. The team owner, Richard Childress, said the move was about putting the right people in the right spots. He said, "We have strong talent across this organization, and we're focused on having each person in the right position to help deliver the results we expect." Heading into Texas, Kyle was sitting 27th in points. He was 66 points below the cutoff line for making the playoffs. With only 16 races left in the regular season, time was running out. And remember, Kyle is in a contract year. His deal with the team ends after this season, so every race matters more than ever. After he finished second in the truck race on Friday night, Kyle finally talked about everything, and he didn't sugarcoat it. He said, "I think the writing is in the point standings." He knew things had to change. He thanked Jim for his work, but also admitted the bosses didn't think Jim was in the right spot. Then Kyle made a promise. He said, "I'm full in. I'm all committed. I've never probably worked as much in these last 4 years as I did in 15 at JGR. That's a huge thing to say." He spent 15 years winning races at Joe Gibbs Racing. Now he's saying these 4 years at RCR have been more work than all those years combined. That tells you how hard he's pushing to fix this. He also said, "We've got to put the train back on the tracks and have a direction of what we need to do in order to be able to go forward." Simple words, but you can hear the frustration. He even praised his teammate, Austin Dillon, saying the number 3 team was clicking and running well. Speaking of Austin Dillon, he said something that turned a lot of heads. When reporters asked him about Kyle, Dillon told them, "I talked to Kyle, and his next win is going to be the biggest of his career, if you think of it the right way." Think about that for a second. Kyle Busch has 63 Cup wins. He's won the Brickyard 400, he's won the Coca-Cola 600, he's won 2 championships, and his teammate is saying the next one would be bigger than all of those. Why? Because Kyle hasn't won a Cup race in 103 races. His last win came back at Gateway on the 4th of June, 2023. That's a long time for a driver this good. Dillon explained more. He said, "All the stuff that has been said and brought up over this year, I feel like if he puts his head down and takes that team back to victory lane, that's going to be the biggest win of his career." So Kyle had a fresh crew chief. He had a clear car from inspection. He had his teammate cheering him on. Texas was supposed to be a fresh start, and for most of the day, it really looked like one. Kyle qualified 6th. He ran inside the top 10 almost the whole race. With just a few laps to go, he was sitting in great shape for another solid finish. Then came the late caution, the pit stops, and a chaotic restart with 4 laps left. Kyle restarted 11th. John Hunter Nemechek got around him and was running 13th, having one of his best days too. With about a lap and a half to go, the two cars came side by side on the backstretch, racing for around 12th or 13th place. Then it happened. Kyle thought he was clear of Nemechek. He moved up the track, but he wasn't clear. The two cars banged together hard. Kyle's car slammed the outside wall and got torn up. Nemechek got around him going into turn 3, and that's when things got really ugly. Kyle appeared to swerve hard to the right and slammed into Nemechek's door at almost 180 miles an hour. Nemechek went spinning into the wall. His car wrecked. Over the radio, Nemechek shouted, "Why did he do that?" Somehow, Nemechek kept his car off the racing surface, so NASCAR didn't throw a caution. The race finished green, with Chase Elliott picking up his second win of the year. Kyle ended up 20th. Nemechek ended up 21st, the first car one lap down. A day that could have been a top 10 turned into a disaster. Right after the race, Kyle wouldn't talk to reporters in person, but he did go on Twitter, and he was not backing down. He posted SMT data, which is the tracking info NASCAR uses, and he laid the blame right on Nemechek. Kyle wrote, "I did not start this. The 42 apparently doesn't know where the RS of his car is, and where he is in relation to the outside wall. There was 2 feet outside him, and I was judging my left side tires to the hash marks. Always know who you're racing beside." Nemechek fired right back. He posted, "Not freaking clear. Great day going, and just got wrecked. What an ass." Now everyone is asking the same question. Was that second hit on purpose? The video looked bad, real bad. A NASCAR official was even seen taking pictures of Kyle's right front fender after the race. That's never a good sign. And here's where it gets serious. NASCAR has suspended drivers before for stuff like this. Bubba Wallace got suspended in 2022 for hooking another driver. Chase Elliott got suspended in 2023 for the same thing. Austin Cindric got fined $50,000 and lost 50 points last year for hooking Ty Dillon at COTA. And way back in 2011, Kyle himself got suspended at this very same track for wrecking Ron Hornaday on purpose. So now the racing world is waiting to see what NASCAR does. Will Kyle sit out the next race at Watkins Glen on May 10th? Will he get a fine? Or will NASCAR call it a hard racing deal and move on? Kyle dropped from 27th to 26th in points after Texas. The clock keeps ticking. The pressure keeps growing. His team is trying to get back on track. His teammate is calling for him to win again, and now he's in the middle of one of the biggest fights of his season. And don't forget the history between these two drivers. John Hunter Nemechek used to drive trucks for Kyle Busch Motorsports back in 2021 and 2022. He won 7 races for Kyle's own team. So this isn't just two strangers banging fenders.